Hi.
Hi.
Oh, hi.
Sorry
Hello.
for making you wait.
Hi.
I was needed to
Don't
prepare,
worry.
the computer. How are you? Can you?
Before, we're good. Thank you.
Nice. So this is for Hans Höger's class, right? The
Yeah. Hmm.
cool.
Yes.
Yeah, big pleasure. So if I can help with something.
You did also
Yeah.
this kind of research when you were studying?
We did something different, I think. We were not interviewing people, but we were like proposing a project about different areas or eras of design. So it was more like a talk. Yeah, but cool. Do you enjoy your time in Bolzano? I see you're in the St. Benedict student apartment. I
Yes,
was also there for
yeah.
half a year or so. Nice. And you're in the car. Cool.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I have to catch a train to
Yeah, easy.
go back to Bolzano, so I'm way home. But I'm listening and
Yeah, cool.
participating. Okay.
Of course.
Okay. I'm sorry.
I'm ready when you are. Like, we can just go. So is it recorded?
Okay, so maybe we
on
could start
written?
why did you choose firstly to study in Bolzano, and what did you study, and how was your experience in university? Maybe?
Yeah. So I studied in Bolzano because it was like far enough maybe from my hometown to confront myself to a new place, and still like not so far because I'm from Munich. It's like 4 hours to Bolzano. So I still had like access to my friends and my social network there. So it was just like for the infrastructure good, and also I felt like there's a good way to dive into a place that has like a culturally melting pot, because many things combine there, and I was just curious because I think like studying in a place that is not your hometown or even not your mother tongue language place, it's just a good experience.
Yes. Well, yes, it's. Yeah, what you studied? You studied art or design?
Yes, so you know it that the design and art, it's like two separated faculties, but still we're sharing like most of the basic foundation, I would say. So the typography courses we're also doing, but then like what you do with it is different. So I think the knowledge pot is kind of similar. I think you have other inputs also, but then just the things that you're doing, your projects, they change. So yes, I was in this art course, which is, I would say, the difference for me is always that art can also like be without a reason. So it does not always have to be functional. So yeah, I had this like very free time to develop projects that were just based on personal interest, and it was an amazing time, I must say, because like you have these mentors and you're all in the same thing kind of. So I would really use the time to talk to the professors and to listen to them, to also go like after the lectures, because I think they're all just humans, and it's cool if you really are passionate and interested about what you're doing. They share the books that they're reading, and I don't know, it's just like a nice exchange for all. Like even if you are teaching there, it goes on both directions. Like of course, obviously, you're getting most inspired by the teachers, but also I think the teachers can be inspired by the students, because it opens up like to new ways of thinking, and yeah.
And did you think you were going to study design when you were a child? Or,
Sorry, do you think?
well, what did you think you were going to do when you were going to be an adult? Like, what did you dream about doing? Yeah.
Yeah, so like I always wanted somehow to become like a filmmaker. I don't know why, because I was like when I was 12 years old, I was making these little animation films with, or even younger, maybe with 7 or so, these animation films with Lego, later skateboard films. So it was always clear to make something with video or cameras, because I just love how, I don't know, you can capture reality with it, transform it, tell stories. So it was kind of my medium. So I wanted maybe to become director of photography. But then when I was working in the industry, I felt, okay, you are really, even if you can be creative, part of a bigger system. And then if you're working on a movie set, you need to function as a camera DOP for the director, and it's a nice way of working. But I felt a bit, stuck with it because I wanted to make my own things. And then in the art world, kind of, or let's say in the in art film, you can make more things with a smaller budget than in the film industry. You see. And so art was like this way where I could find my interests in, I don't know, a philosophical approach with creative way of thinking and doing things with a DIY attitude, let's say. Let's compare, for example, Hollywood movies with a film you see in an art gallery. It's both film or visual images, just the approach is different. Like when you watch a Hollywood blockbuster and you see, okay, this 3D model really does not look realistic. You're like, okay, the film is bad. But when you are in an art gallery or something, it's not only about the technical things. You have different qualities. So it was a good place to develop ideas.
And what do you think it has more an artistic video rather than, for example, as you were saying, an Hollywood movie? What's the thing that differentiates them besides technical aspects?
Yeah, that is difficult because now you're basically asking me what art is, and I see always that this question kind of leads to a point where you can say what art is, but it never gets close to it. So I can say what it is for me, and everybody who would listen to it would say, but no, for me it's something different. So one aspect that I find, just one tiny aspect, is that with art film you can borrow from other styles of film. Let's say documentary film or experimental film or TV, news. You can adapt some elements to transform them, and then make the spectator realize that he's like being confronted to this style. I need to think about Christian Jankowski's film, where I don't know if you know Tatort. It's pretty German, but he was creating like in this Tatort narrative film basically that was showing a character that was an artist, a conceptual artist. And this guy in the film, he was fictional, wanted kind of to make the biggest artwork ever by killing somebody in Tatort. And so the spectator or the person watching the film for the whole time was questioning himself, okay, this film is really kind of strange. So is art really this, that a strange conceptual artist wants to kill somebody? And then, of course, it's not. So in the end, you saw Christian Jankowski, this conceptual German artist, like opening up the thing. And the interesting for me was that in this film, he was like discussing the limit of art, let's say. Because, of course, it's not legitimate to kill somebody as an artwork. And still, he was like putting this question into the room by creating this narrative in Tatort. So just watch it. It's maybe I was like not like explaining the whole thing 100%, but if you Google Tatort Christian Jankowski, you will find it. And he could like argument this question with the limits of art, let's say, by not trying to kill somebody himself, but by like having this character in Tatort. I don't know.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's actually good work.
And in
so which
this,
inspired you? Which filmmakers inspire artists?
Yeah, it also depends like on the genre, but for sure Werner Herzog is like somebody I can watch again and again, and Of course, personally, I take inspiration from all the places. Even some Netflix can inspire. But if we stay then François Truffaut inspires me a lot, French director. So the Nouvelle Vague in general. But I also take a lot inspiration from music video directors like Spike Jonze, for example, because I don't know, they use this medium and make it their own. I think that's something great. Like you don't always have to be like, is this a feature film or is this a music video? It can completely open up to find your own playing ground, and I respect that with music videos, video directors also. Like, I think sometimes the industry can be tough because you need to produce a lot of ideas, so they steal. But that's also that's happening everywhere. I think there's a difference between stealing and copying. I think copying is not so, but we all take inspiration.
And in this way, I don't know, are you interested in I don't know how to say, but more standard movie industry, so traditional movies, directors, and films in general?
It depends. I think the feature film, let's say, still is nice, but the way the world is being formed today is a lot by short form narratives that become like serial things. So they have a long narration, even much longer than a feature film could be, and still they are very compressed on maybe 40 minutes. So being living in this era, let's say, I think the ways that these medias are formatting us is also formatting the way that creative people produce their works. So I think the attention span has just become a bit shorter. So I kind of also as a consequence of this, it's not 100% important, but it's also easier to make a 30 to 50 minute long format. So but then it's also sometimes interesting to I think the most important thing is not to get eaten up by what other people are doing at this current moment of time, but to observe it, but still do your own things. Or it's...
Can I add just ask a little question? You mentioned you were very inspired by Nouvelle Vague and how it kind of these movements that changed cinema. Do you still think in this day and age something like that is still possible? Like a group of directors with a similar idea can actually change in a bigger way the direction of filmmaking, or is it still a little bit too static with the way you mentioned that it's very formatted in the way that it works?
I think there's huge potential in the current time because production means have become very low. You can shoot a film with your smartphone and so on. You can distribute it by yourself. So I think it's just more liberated. It's not about only changing what filmmaking is. I think this question is important to ask, but still the most important question is what content these people all over the world are putting into their stories. And does not also have not to be only film, but also other mediums, literature and so on. So I think the ways of production have become just affordable to anybody. So I think it's an amazing time of creativity. It's liberating. So you don't have these gatekeepers so much anymore that you need to propose a script and then be ignored. You can just shoot it, publish it. If it's good, people will notice. Yeah, that's kind of amazing, no?
Mm-hmm.
And do you have a team you work with most of the time?
Yeah, I think I don't have a team, but I have collaborators that I did projects with that we all enjoyed working with together, and I think it's super important to develop these people. But it's without hierarchies. If somebody's having an idea, it's good, and So having this is like fundamental, I think, to anything what you're doing. Like just people you love that love you and you support each other. So it doesn't have to be many people, but the right people. And I think you all know by yourself, like if you have somebody that you're thinking of, various people maybe that you just, it doesn't have to be always friends. Like friends can also be something you just talk with. You don't always need to find these creative collaborations. It can be, I don't know. It needs to develop, I think, by making. If you make something, you normally organically like connect with people, and then you still like have connections with the people, kind of, because we're sharing a good time together. So, and then you can like continue. Yeah. So I love working with people because they like confront they question my way of thinking, and I think that's good, and you can grow with each other. Because you sometimes get stuck, no? You see the way in your own bubble, and then when you're collaborating with somebody, your bubble bursts a bit.
Is there a journey that changed your life in a way, like traveling or an experience that changed the path of your life? Maybe also in the work environment that is kind of remarkable.
Yeah, I love traveling simply. So I think every journey kind of grows yourself, your perspective to the world. But like when we boil it down to work, let's say, that was actually like a very beautiful trip that I was invited to do to make a surf film on Mauritius, and everything was beautiful. Like we were so close to the beach and whatever, but I still like felt okay, and this is now what I'm doing. I was making a surf film with them, and it kind of felt shallow, Then I was like talking to the people on the island, and they were talking about this one hill where during the apartheid people were like so afraid, like the local people, of being killed that they decided to jump down. And when I was on the airplane back, I was okay, fuck. I was shooting like a nice surf film for 2 weeks, and actually this story like kind of left my it is told, but I would have loved to capture like this as a story. Like, you find something on the internet, but still I think it's important to highlight this. And so this like journey was a moment when I realized, okay, not only creating video content is not what I'm happy with. So I want to, talk and make films that I truly care about. And yeah, it was not like a mind-changing thing, but it was like, okay, like all nice weather is not enough. Maybe, I don't know, but I don't think there's like this one experience. It's many small events that become then a process that change you. And I'm still like trying to find my place in the world. Like it's never, I hope it will never stop. So, because you need to change also.
Also, I wanted to ask, what does your typical work day look like?
Yeah.
Like, what do you do on a daily basis?
So, I always try to schedule one day in advance, but it never works out that way because something comes in between, and then you need to adopt. And right now I'm like in Munich. I'm living on the countryside, so I try to get up early. Then I mostly go like during the week to the art academy. I'm currently studying there in the class of Olaf Nicolai, which is a sculpture class, but it's super open to other things as well, so it's not bound to any medium, which I love. But then currently I'm like trying to spend as much time in the library as possible because it's just beautiful. They have like 3 floors and all over books, and it's amazing. So also take new courses, I don't know, whatever, like things I've not done before, like risography or something, because I think it's just nice to know how it's done. Or like making bronze casts and so on. So I dive into all of these studios to see how the pros are doing it. And then I kind of know how it's done. And if I once want to do something like that, I have a vague idea, let's say, because of course you're not becoming like an expert by doing something once. You need to do it various times. So yeah, of course. I also have a side job, but I try to invest as much time as possible to developing the projects. And I think, yeah, still, as I said many times, like traveling is important. Like it's a bit like restricted right now, but still, like you can go in your hometown to a place you have not been yet, and then it becomes like a little journey. So making new experiences, I think, this I try to do a lot.
How you get ideas, projects, just traveling or I don't know, seeing new places.
Yeah.
How do you get ideas?
I found out that when you try to have an idea, it will never come. It's like when you're sitting there, I was also doing it, like sitting in front of a paper and, oh, okay, I need to have an idea. It will never come. It's like a cat. You need to I don't know, to feed it. You need also to feed your ideas, kind of, with talking with people, talking with friends. I don't know. And for example, making these new courses also allows you to do that, because then you are confronted to a new thing. And this new thing could like combine with something you've seen on another place on the street and lead to an idea. So then you, of course, there also are these shower ideas, you know, because when you shower, your brain has like more ideas, they say. Might be true, but it comes in the most unexpected moments. And then I try to carry like a little book with me where I write it down. And then, because I try always to do so many things at once, it does not work out. So I really need to limit myself to like only 2 to 3 projects or 2 to 3 ideas. And if I don't do it right now, I close the book and really focus on the first thing. Otherwise, it's a mess. Then things combine, but everybody has his own way of like finding ideas. It's how do you find your ideas? It's like, do you?
Yeah, I think it's this thing. I don't know. Most of us are still figuring out. Yeah, now we're the more to find like a lot of ideas. And sometimes very hard, I think. So when you're under pressure.
Yeah, but I think like during the study time you will have a lot of ideas because you make a lot of new experience. So write them down. And then maybe if you don't have time now because the course is so packed and you need to do a drawing workshop besides whatever, write it down and maybe in 5 years you will have the time. And then you will think, oh cool, now I can do that. And now I also have the technical support. I have the people I can work with together. And I actually know how to do it. Like I think it's always like we all know what we want to do. But then finding out how we want to do it, or there's a vague idea in the mind, but then the execution is still lacking. And I think during the study time you can like learn how to execute. Yeah, that's I think the most important thing that was for me. The thing to learn how to, or still learning to how to execute ideas. And make them good also.
And I'm curious, which are some of your, like, the ones that you consider your best ideas or your best projects that you have done?
No, I don't believe in like the best idea or something. I think it's
the ones that you like the most or you're satisfied with how they come out. Maybe.
Yeah. So I don't try, like this is something I'm learning right now, to look always like back, because then you're getting like trapped in your own achievements. So I try, to really focus on developing this routine to always come up with something. So, but things that like were during the study time, maybe most interesting was because the work is called Cleaning the Pool, and it was the first work I was doing in the academy or in the University of Bolzano, and it's like a swimming pool. Maybe you've been at the place. It's this abandoned hotel that is on the top of this Virgolo. And it's a beautiful place. I think they are like now trying to build a new hotel there. I don't know if it's still there, but still it's worth checking out. And I took a drone and filmed this swimming pool in wintertime from above. And since there was snow inside, I could like clean the swimming pool with a brush. So you see it only from the top, and there's the movement of me cleaning this swimming pool. I can send you a link. Let's do it that way.
Yeah, I think I briefly saw it on your website.
Yeah, I also saw it.
Good.
Yeah.
You have other like curiosities or? So you're all studying.
Maybe like just sorry. Maybe like how do you think? What are the things that you learned in the 3 years you were here in Bozen? Sort of you think were the most inspiring, that left a mark in the way that you progressed in the years after?
Yeah, you mean in terms of conversations or?
Yeah, just the general experience. What really left you? What it left you in the following years? What you learned? The people you met?
Yeah, definitely. Always people. So always the conversations and exchanges, and also confrontations you had with people. I think it's always about people. It's like so like all of the little conversations between a coffee and a lecture, you know, where you had doubts, where you had questions. I am extremely grateful to like have had this opportunity to spend so much time really like developing see what I mean? You can, like when you are already working, you don't have this time to question what you're doing all of the time. So it's this university time kind of allows you to or allows all of us to spend time with yourself, with your own way of thinking, question it again and again. It's not the case if you need to just work on a job and just function and do this on a daily basis. You also learn something, but it's a very innocent time to make new knowledge. Mm. Yeah, I think it's kind of like.
No, sorry.
No, go.
I was wondering if you are mostly independent or if you work for clients when you like.
So when I was like after high school, I was working only for clients. So I was super young, like maybe too young also. I was like with 16, I started my first client work and kind of went from there. And so I'm comfortable with working with clients. So, but then I was a bit too young maybe. So I always was mixing up my own ideas with the client work. And this can be working out, but sometimes the client is not actually interested because he wants to have his own thing. Like client-driven work is not about your personal emotions or subjective view to the world, but it has to function so. Now that I had this time studying, I can really well separate between what is my thing and what is not my thing. So I do both. I'm comfortable like working with clients. Mostly they hire me to work with video editing, camera and so on because I don't know, I was doing it for a long time, so I know how to do it. and I see it as a craft. When they are asking me something, I really see, okay, you want this, I can do this perfect. But that's fine. And then when I have mental space for my own things, that where I can like experiment a bit more, let's say. So doing both is extremely important, I think, because you can like leave your comfort zone, working with clients, you have some cash, and then you have like the financial energies and also, I don't know, the force to do your own things. Like even if you are only like working for yourself, it kind of gets also boring, like to me personally at least, because then I want to like dive into other bubbles again, other industries maybe, let's say, because then you can. That's why I'm always so like nailed down onto this film thing, because I can take a camera and ask anybody on the street something and they will like kind of tell me something. I think that's amazing because this camera kind of allows me to connect with other things, and I can do this in a commercial and also non-commercial manner. It's both legit to me. Still, like non-commercial work is more fun, but both is fun. Yeah.
And maybe in an ideal future, would you like to have clients that pay you for your own work? Or it's just that something that you prefer to take to maybe just do for your own and
yeah, it depends. So I did not have like a final answer, because I think as soon as you are like getting paid for it, kind of this passion thing is boiling a bit down. But of course, it's an ideal scenario that you're doing something you love and also can like have your financial security with it. So still, I don't work my personal projects only for money. So I'm confident with also finding other jobs, as I told, with the craft. Like currently, it's not the coolest thing ever, and it's something that I how can I say, like I'm editing like wedding videos on the side right now, you know. So it's a well-paying job, and this allows me to have my personal projects being non-commercially driven. And both are happy. Like the people with the wedding, they have a nice edit and they love it. And I'm happy because I can continue to do jobs or like, let's say, projects that are very free to experiment with. And hopefully one day, nobody knows, it will combine, and the things that I love doing will also be like my financial base. But at the moment, I am also okay this way, because I can do everything I love, and that's the most important thing to me. Yeah.
Oh, that's very cool. And how do you see like your personal work? Like, why are you doing? You're doing it just to have fun, to experiment, or you find a purpose on the things that you're doing?
Yeah, like it's difficult because I would like to say something you love to do is not as good as actually doing it. So what I'm aiming to do maybe is to create like bridges between cultures, to see, like to bring down the differences between, I don't know, we are so much obsessed between black and white, and it's all important. Still, I think we are all like living on a very tiny place in the universe, and all, I don't know, I don't like this to say, but all human in a way. So making films that connect different cultures is something I like doing. Yeah.
Oh, have you already done something in this field that you can show us, or some works involved in this topic? Because it's very interesting.
Yeah, like currently I am again working on a film that I was making in 2000, I don't know, 14 or 15. So it's like of this never-ending story of a movie that I was shooting really just out of curiosity, because I wanted to capture the skateboarding life in Morocco. So I flew there, and it was a super DIY thing, and I shot a lot of footage because I did not have so much of an idea how to make a film. So by making this film, I learned a lot about how not to make a film, which makes me now a bit more able to actually do it. So failing so hard on shooting way more footage that I should have done was like the best practice to, I don't know, learn to be how to work more specific, let's say. So now after this amazingly long time, I was doing many things in between. So I was studying all the time, so I never worked full time on it, only like at the night time. So it's a documentary about the youth in Morocco, like showing skateboarding girls. And for me, it was important to do it because I could experience how it's like to not be as privileged as we are. Also, because like the places there, like in the city center, they are amazing. They have swimming pools and so on. But as soon as you leave this zone where tourists are, things look a bit different. So it's important to be aware of our of the luck we're having, no? Also like to make the best out of it. And I can show you the trailer if you want. I can send this.
Yeah.
And, I also don't want to talk you a lot. So if you want to know something else, it's a big pleasure, and I prefer to make this, like to have the work speak for itself, or to just show it, not to talk so much. Because I think when you talk too much about things, it kind of I enjoy more watching.
Okay, so maybe my next question is not really the most appropriate to what you just said, but I was curious about the. I saw on your website the project, the smoke on the boots, with the wind, and it was colored. And I was wondering, like, what it was and why. You can just also give me a brief response if you don't like.
So this work, Colored Wind, is the graduation project that I was doing with Massimo Bartolini and Luca Trevisani as a co-relatore, and it started with found stones that were like painted by people. So I found these stones and had questions about authorship. So, okay, who actually owns these stones now? Is it the people who painted them, like by marking them? Is it the city or the government of Bolzano who actually like really owns the stones, or me who decided to take them? And based on this discovery, I was like just working with these stones, and at some point the stones kind of felt too heavy in a way, you know? So I was experimenting with painting landscapes, painting stones, and just a second. And then while making experiments with painting in landscapes, I saw that the wind was taking colored powder that I was working with, and this movement of the wind got visible, and this just took my attention more, and I wanted to like explore possible ways of visualizing this movement the wind is making. And it's just like, for me, it was super interesting. Like there are so many like forces in nature that we always like ignore. We know that they're there, like the climate and the wind, and my aim of this work was just to draw attention maybe to it. And it could have been like more movement, let's say, but I don't think a work is ever perfect. So that's why you can continue, and maybe I will work more with these forces in nature. But I always try to be open to what is actually happening, because you can have many plans in your mind, but they usually you need to change them a bit to see and actually go out into the world and see what's happening and work based on this. So even now in our time, because we have so many things like already pre-shoot on the internet, on Instagram, on Google Maps, that all like show a possible world, or let's say a narration about the world, how our identity is formed through images on social media, but the truth is something different. And I think focusing your attention on this truth, how we call it, whatever, is truly enriching. To not trust only on what is happening on the internet, but to step outside and see for yourself. That's something I try to do. I also get eaten up by this whole technology thing. Like, I think it's normal because it's so much designed to make, like, grab our attention also. So it's easy to fall into it.
And how would you define yourself, like video maker, artist? If you have a title that you like, if someone comes to you and says, what's your work? What do you answer?
Yeah, it can be difficult. So I tried not to put a label too much on myself, but also not on people in general, because you then get eaten up by this label. But it's can be also helpful just to have a basic communication. So I tell them, yeah, I'm studying art and working as a filmmaker. That usually is it, but it's never perfect. So then I think, but sometimes I also take a picture. Maybe I'm a photographer, but I'm not, because I'm mostly working with film. So visual artist, student / filmmaker fits it at the moment. But we are more than the titles we are putting on ourselves. So we have different roles. We all need to fulfill them. Like I love gardening, but I'm not a gardener, obviously. So it's important to stay free of this kind of. But I introduce myself as filmmaker. Painter.
slash. Okay.
Same with you, no?
Okay.
You are a design student, but you also, do many things.
Yeah, I understand. And okay, so saying that you are a filmmaker, I know that there's maybe it's a common debate that I heard before in saying how important is your camera gear, how important it is in the work that you're doing.
Not at all.
So what's your opinion about that?
Yeah, I think it's easy to think, okay, when I have this big, expensive camera, I will make the perfect film, but it will never happen. I think it's the best choice to work with what you have, because it's more than enough to do it. And then I also have it, like, I think I need this, but then in the end, I sometimes it really helps. Like, sometimes you need equipment. It's simple as that. You need a tool to do something. But it does not have to be the most sophisticated tool ever. It can be. I usually work with things available to me. That's maybe something. If I have an expensive tool available, fine. If I have a smartphone available, fine. If I have a painting brush available, fine. If I have not, I use something else. I use coffee, whatever. So you can use everything. And that's also where the fun happens. Because then when you take something that is meant for something else into a new context, cool. You're doing something that can lead to a new idea, or... Yeah, I hope that helped. So there are no rules,
yes, and
except for the rules that are.
Do you And do you think that also the things that you have with you. So we could say that our limitations can also bring something else out from your creativity. So if I have just some ways to express myself,
I think that setting yourself certain rules can help, because otherwise you are like just lost wherever you are. But you need to focus. Like, I think where your focus and attention goes, something can develop. So it's just a question where you put that focus. Sorry. Ich rufe dich gleich zurück, okay? Warte, ich rufe dich zurück. Oder... Warte kurz. Sorry, guys.
No problem. I have another question that maybe it's okay. Just make it. If you should assign just three words to maybe define your work or your personality, what would you say?
Oh, that's my personality or my work. You mean to find words to?
No, let's say your work, like how your approach to work and your what you like to do.
That's easier, because I think we all have like various personality, let's say, or the identity. So I definitely have like a playful approach, but then with a like reflected outcome, let's say. So I try to stay playful, but then it also needs to have some base. So it's not enough to only like do something and then call it a day, but I always like to then dig deeper and really research what I'm doing. But I think for all of us it happens, you're doing something and then you are like trying to realize what you're doing, and based on this you go further. So one step or whatever, you see, how is it, one step forward, two steps backwards, but actually two steps forward.
So which topic do you find most at the moment? You said anything else?
Can I ask you to repeat? I lost connection. Maybe I've...
I know. You said that you find just very interesting. What topics are there you find it?
Can you write, maybe?
Hannah, I can't hear you either.
Might also be my question, I don't know.
No, it's cool, just maybe...
Yes. Yeah.
Do we have a chat or
I'd
something?
be a problem. Yeah, connections. I don't know, I think I have some problem, or maybe someone else.
Yeah, maybe you can write an email or so, then I can read the email and... But now I was hearing you. Like, just repeat and then...
Oh, okay. Maybe I can repeat again. So, how do you find most interesting and or like films?
Is it if I what topics are interesting? Yeah, it's a pity I could not hear you. Sorry. Did you understand?
Oh, yeah,
No, she's lagging a bit.
Yeah, it's the
yeah,
the
I have
connection.
problems with my connection.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, but topics.
I don't know.
I
It's just
think. Yeah, it's super important, like to stay open to all the things that are happening. So drawing inspiration can be from reading something on the news, but also like rewatching your old personal film archives, or yeah, I think it's finding this right balance between having one eye on what is happening in the world and the other eye on what is happening inside of your own mind and your own, like, things that happened in the past, like things you want to do in the future. So being present, but still like having some gaze into the future and some in the past. So if that, I hope this answers or gives.
Okay, I have one more question. Maybe waiting if Anna can write us hers. Do you have some advices that you could give to us for the next years of study in Bolzano?
Yeah, really take as much time as you can to learn, make new experiences. See it like that. You are like making your net for the open sea. You are now in like a very nice safe harbor, and not that the world is cruel or anything. It's just you will have like different like duties to do, like find a job and become a bit more serious. So now we are having this time to develop. That's amazing. And it will also, like, after university, it's not like you will change or anything. It will just go on. It will just go on. But you will not have so much free time anymore. So, because now you're maybe asking yourself, okay, what I'm doing, and I don't know, just go and do what you want to do and enjoy this freedom. Life will not end after university, definitely not. It will also maybe become on some levels better, others maybe worse, or not. It will change a bit. Your daily life will change a bit, but not so much. Just a new playground, like. Yeah, I really hope that. So.
Oh, sorry.
No, please go.
Our professor presented you as a storyteller.
That's nice.
Would you say that's?
Yeah, I would, like, if the people like the things I'm telling, that's fine. I think we all are storytellers in a way, because it's very native to our human instincts. No, people were telling stories ever since, so it's. But that's very kind of him. Like, I aim to do that at least. Like, no matter if it's like with painting, it can be a visual story. Even an object can have a story. So, but as you see, I'm very much on this film mindset, but it can open up to different things. So the narration part does not have to be a film; it can also be an image. But.
And for example, when working on a film, do you prefer to create a story that is true, maybe document something that already exists, or maybe right before, like a script or a story that you invent yourself and make like something that maybe like a short movie?
Yeah, for the things that I'm planning to do now, I'm getting less and less interested into making real documentary films, but I like to make fictional films that tell something about the actual world. So by creating a fiction, I can maybe create a film that documents reality more than a documentary ever could, because you're always like manipulating. As soon as you're starting to film, you are like changing, because you have your subjective camera view and the edit. It's never a real documentary. So I think like just not pretending to do something that is like showing reality is more interesting than having like upfront fiction, but then that has some truth in it. That's something that I would love to develop further, maybe for future projects as an approach. Or
so, do you like also writing scripts or stories?
I think it helps to have some basic framework. Like as I said with the first film that I was making there, I had some scripts, but definitely a script could have changed a lot of mistakes. So by the more you prepare anything or pre-plan, the less work you need to do later. So I think it's no matter what you're doing, not only with film, also with project or product design. So preparation helps. Going back to the study now, also studying is a kind of preparation. So the more you prepare for it, the more time you will have later, maybe. Study.
Okay. I think I ended my questions. If you guys have something else to ask.
And also,
I also think that's it. Yeah, sure, go ahead.
No, thank you for your time, and I'm super curious maybe to watch what you're doing on this archive website of the uni. They were making it, and I'm looking forward to what you're doing. And it was a big pleasure. I hope I could like share some things. And I'm also like still a student. I'm now in a different context. I'm at the art academy now. It's definitely different than, because it's no more a bachelor system. It's an academy system, so it's way more liberate, but basically the same thing. And so I think it's important to always find yourself, like, even if you're finishing now, some new context where you can grow. Can be a job, can be an internship, can be a work experience directly in a studio, can be a master, whatever. Just continue. I think that's important.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much too.
Thank
it was really, really interesting.
Thank you.
And maybe if we add something, we should prepare a presentation about you. And so...
Oh, that's kind. If you need some material, I can send you something. Like, I don't have so much on the website. If you need photos or whatever, I can do that.
Okay.